For every 100 students in the United States this year, only 70% are expected to graduate from high school. In the country's 50 largest cities, this figure drops to only 53%. Of these remaining students, only 30% of the original class will even be eligible for military service. When all is said and done, only 17% of students are expected to enter the workforce with any form of college degree. As of 2006, the United States is no longer a member of the top 20 highest-ranked countries in terms of academic achievement. According to the Program for International Student Assessment, our students are now classified as below average, falling between Russia and Croatia in the most recent OECD International Student Assessment. One state in particular has served as a testing ground for different types of alternative schooling methods, and that's us.
Education system has a really good foundation and mission statement and purpose, but the fact that it's become so federalized and it's a huge national company versus an individualized education plan, that it is really harming the student's ability to be able to learn. And I say this because our legislation happens at a national level and it affects everyone individually. And the reason that this is an issue is because the students in New York have different issues than the students in California, or different than the students in Colorado, North, Upper Montana, everywhere. They just have different issues, but they are all required to be educated the same way, to have the same kind of standards, regardless of geographic location. The biggest factor is cultural.
There's these three categories. There's the hard jails, and a lot of them in Texas are like that. They call them alternatives, but you're going to be sentenced to them. That's the smallest of the three groups, but it's also the most depressing. Next size group would be my definition of alternatives, which are really other learning environments that are more appropriate. That's what I mean by alternative. Mm-hmm. And that's what open school would be. The largest group is the soft jails, because that serves the system. Take these kids out so the rest of us can do what we want to do. And don't expect too much of them, but treat them nicely.
In pockets of excellence across this country, we're seeing what children from all walks of life can and will achieve when we set high standards, have high expectations, when we do a good job of preparing them. Instead, it's because politics and ideology have too often trumped our progress that we're in the situation that we're in.
When the school started, I was aware of it. I had lived in Douglas County for a while, but parents were meeting, I think, in a picnic area in one of the town parks to start a charter school, and the notion was that the public schools were failing and that it was possible under the about to be passed charter law to create better schools. And it's even more interesting as time passes, was the very first introduction I had to what are now called the culture wars. It was the first time I walked into the school after I was elected to the board, and the dean, after chatting me up for a little while and seeing what I was like and what I was interested in, said, "Oh, we were worried at first. We didn't know which side you were on." And I said, "What sides? What are the sides?" And what I learned was that a lot of the parents in the school were there for a reason actually that was very different for the reason that my kids were in the school, and that is that since it was parent controlled, they thought that they would be in a position to enforce or to pursue their religious agenda. And that became an abiding theme during my entire
national level, have it at least be a state standard, and then you will have the ability to break it down into districts, I think, easier.
You're actually working as a teacher in a regular school, as most of the students I teach are. I tell them that you can't just do it alone. So try to find at least one other colleague who you agree with, who you feel a kinship, and the two of you support each other. And then ideally, if you can get to the point where you can add maybe two more to that, so you have a cluster of people, then maybe you can take on an experiment within the school.
What's needed, as in any human enterprise, is competency. And the problem in charter schools is that they don't select for competency. There's no reason why the parents, who typically are the board members, will be any more competent than average.
In my opinion, the current state of education is a little bit above miserable.